Emmett Carr was just like any other 12-year-old boy, full of curiosity and dreams. He had a mop of curly hair that bounced as he moved and bright eyes that sparkled with questions about the world around him. However, he often felt shy and uncertain, especially in front of his classmates. His heart would race when he thought about speaking up, and today was no different. As Emmett sat at his desk, he could feel the familiar flutter in his stomach. The classroom buzzed with chatter and laughter as students shared stories about their weekends. Emmett watched as his friends joked and made each other laugh, wondering if he would ever have the courage to join in. He admired their confidence but often felt like an outsider. When the teacher, Ms. Alana Briggs, introduced Rosa Parks as a special guest speaker, excitement filled the room. Emmett felt a sense of awe. He had read about Rosa Parks and her bravery in history class. Still, with all eyes on her, he felt even smaller. As the class began to settle down, a question popped into Emmett's mind, one he had been pondering for days, but the thought of asking it made him feel anxious. He took a deep breath, trying to quiet the butterflies in his stomach. What if they laughed at him? What if his question sounded silly? But then he remembered how important it was to ask questions and learn. Finally, gathering all his courage, Emmett raised his hand, hoping this would be the moment he broke free from his shyness. Little did he know that this moment would change everything for him, sparking not only his bravery but also drawing the attention of someone who truly understood what it meant to stand up for oneself. The classroom was alive with energy that day. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting bright beams of light across the desks, where students were buzzing with anticipation. The walls were decorated with colorful posters of historical figures, and a big chart labeled, "Questions We Want to Ask," hung at the front. Everyone was excited to hear Rosa Parks speak, an icon of courage and change. As Emmett looked around, he could see the eager faces of his classmates, all chatting and laughing while they waited for Ms. Alana Briggs to introduce their special guest. Some students were trading stories about their weekend soccer games, while others showed off drawings they had made. The sound of laughter filled the air, creating a lively atmosphere that made Emmett feel even smaller. He admired his friends' ease, wishing he could join in their fun, but the thought of speaking up made his heart race. Finally, Ms. Briggs stood up and clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. "Class, let's settle down. Today we have an incredible guest who has shown us what it means to be brave." She introduced Rosa Parks, and a hush fell over the room. Emmett felt a wave of excitement mixed with nervousness wash over him as Rosa stepped forward. Her calm presence and gentle smile instantly captured everyone's attention. Rosa began sharing her experiences with courage and standing up for what is right. As she spoke, Emmett listened closely, feeling inspired by her words. The classroom, once filled with laughter and chatter, was now silent, hanging on every word she said. Emmett realized this was more than just a lesson in school. It was a moment that could change everything for him. With every story Rosa told, he felt his bravery growing too, even if just a little. As Rosa finished sharing a powerful story about standing up for equality, Emmett felt a surge of courage mixed with fear. The room was thick with silence, and all eyes were on Rosa, but he couldn't shake off the nervousness that gripped him. He hesitated, wondering if he should risk asking his question or remain quiet like always. Finally, he decided to take the plunge. Mustering every bit of bravery, Emmett raised his hand slightly, feeling the weight of his decision. Ms. Parks," he began, his voice shaking a little. "How did you feel when people made fun of you for speaking out?" The moment he spoke, a ripple of giggles spread across the classroom. Some students exchanged glances and smirks while others whispered to one another. Emmett's cheeks flushed bright red. Embarrassment washed over him like a crashing wave. He wished he could disappear into his desk. Instead, he sat frozen in place, feeling more exposed than ever. The laughter continued for what felt like an eternity, and Emmett's heart sank deeper with every chuckle that echoed around him. In that moment, it was as if all his fears had come true. He had drawn attention to himself only to be met with ridicule. His mind raced with thoughts of how silly his question must have sounded. But just when Emmett thought the noise would never end, something remarkable happened. Rosa Parks turned her gaze toward him. Without hesitation, she stepped forward and said firmly, "Then he's the only one brave enough in this room." Her words cut through the laughter like a knife, bringing silence with them as she walked to Emmett's side and stood with him. As soon as Emmett's question slipped out, the classroom erupted in laughter. It was a sound that felt like a punch to his stomach, a mix of giggles and snickers that echoed off the walls. Emmett's heart sank as he looked around at his classmates, their faces twisting into amused expressions. Some students pointed at him, while others whispered to each other, clearly mocking the sincerity behind his inquiry. The laughter created a chasm between Emmett and his peers, making him feel isolated in a room full of people. He wanted to shrink away, to vanish under his desk or blend into the wall like one of the colorful posters hanging nearby. The feeling of vulnerability washed over him. He suddenly regretted speaking up at all. In that moment, it seemed that all his fears about being teased had come true. Peer pressure hung heavy in the air, amplifying the reactions of the other students. They were quick to join in on the laughter, perhaps fueled by a desire to fit in or avoid being singled out themselves. Emmett could sense that some classmates felt uncomfortable with Rosa's important message but chose to laugh instead, using humor as a shield against their own insecurities. What stung most was not just the laughter but the realization that his authentic question, a sincere attempt to connect with someone he admired, had been turned into a joke. He felt exposed and powerless, as if sharing his feelings had made him an easy target. But then Rosa Parks stepped forward and interrupted their mockery with her strong voice. Her defense of Emmett shifted everything. She reminded everyone of what true bravery looked like. In an instant, her words turned the tide from ridicule to respect, giving Emmett hope and courage in a moment he thought would only bring despair. As the laughter echoed in the classroom, Rosa Parks stood tall, her presence commanding the attention of every student. Without hesitation, she stepped forward, her eyes fierce yet compassionate. "Then he's the only one brave enough in this room," she declared, her voice cutting through the giggles like a beacon of light piercing through darkness. The authority in her tone silenced the laughter and brought a palpable shift to the atmosphere. Rosa's words hung in the air, creating a moment that felt almost magical. Her defense was not just for Emmett, it was a powerful reminder to everyone present about what true courage looked like. She understood that Emmett had taken a risk by asking his question, and in that moment of vulnerability, he needed support more than ever. The students who had laughed suddenly felt the weight of Rosa's statement. They exchanged glances, their smiles fading as they processed what she had said. The impact of her stand rippled through the classroom. It was as if each student was forced to reflect on their own actions and choices. Some looked down at their desks, embarrassed by their initial reaction, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Rosa's unwavering support for Emmett did more than just silence the room. It opened up a space for respect and compassion. Rosa walked over to Emmett's side and remained there, her presence offering him strength. Emmett felt a warmth spread through him as he looked up at her. In that moment, he realized he was not alone. The bravery she displayed encouraged him to embrace his own courage, making him feel valued rather than ridiculed. This pivotal moment left an indelible mark on every student present that day, forever changing how they viewed bravery and empathy towards one another. It turned an embarrassing situation into a lesson that no one would forget, a powerful example of standing up for the vulnerable and celebrating those who dared to speak out. Rosa Parks' decision to stand by Emmett at that moment was monumental. She was not just defending him, she was embodying the very principles of bravery and kindness she had spoken about. Her presence next to Emmett sent a clear message to the entire classroom. It is important to support one another, especially when someone is vulnerable. In a world where it can often feel easier to laugh or remain silent, Rosa chose to speak up for what was right. This act of solidarity was powerful, demonstrating that courage can take many forms, including standing up for others who are feeling marginalized or ridiculed. Emmett, who had initially felt so small and alone, began to see the strength in having someone like Rosa beside him. She reminded him that asking questions and expressing vulnerability are acts of bravery in themselves. As Rosa stood firm at Emmett's side, the atmosphere in the classroom shifted. The laughter that once filled the air transformed into a solemn respect for the situation unfolding before them. Her stance encouraged not only Emmett but also his classmates to reconsider their own actions and words. They were given an opportunity to learn about compassion and empathy right then and there. This pivotal moment illustrated how one person's support could create a ripple effect of change. It highlighted the importance of kindness in addressing bullying and ridicule, encouraging students to think twice before reacting negatively towards someone trying to express themselves. Rosa Parks taught them that true strength lies not just in personal achievements, but also in lifting others up during their times of need. Emmett walked away from this experience feeling empowered, inspired by Rosa's bravery and kindness. He learned that standing up for oneself is important, but so is standing by those who are struggling, an invaluable lesson he would carry with him long after that day. When Rosa Parks stood by Emmett and defended him, the impact was immediate and profound. The laughter that had once filled the room faded, replaced by an uneasy silence as students began to process what had just happened. It was as if a curtain had been pulled back, revealing a new understanding of respect and empathy. The classroom, once a place of ridicule, transformed into an environment ripe for reflection. Students shifted in their seats, some looking down, while others exchanged thoughtful glances. The weight of Rosa's words hung in the air, prompting them to reconsider their own reactions and the role they played in making Emmett feel isolated. They realized that laughter could easily turn into hurtful mockery, and that comforting someone during their vulnerability is a sign of true strength. For many students, it was a moment of awakening. They began to understand the power of words and the importance of support. No longer just a backdrop to the classroom chatter, their individual choices came into focus. As they reflected on Rosa's intervention, they started to see how laughter could quickly shift from light-hearted fun to something far more damaging. Emmett, still standing beside Rosa, felt the atmosphere change as he looked around at his classmates. He noticed a mix of regret and realization on their faces, and for the first time that day, he felt a sense of belonging. He wasn't just the target of laughter anymore. He was part of something bigger, a lesson in courage and kindness. Ms. Alana Briggs observed this shift with pride, knowing that this moment would stay with her students long after they left her classroom. It became clear to everyone that standing up for someone else is not just important, it can create a ripple effect that encourages kindness and support within their community. This pivotal experience offered an opportunity for growth that none of them would soon forget, laying the groundwork for a more compassionate environment moving forward. Later that week, Ms. Alana Briggs gathered her class for a discussion about the events of that day, wanting to ensure the lesson was not forgotten. As she stood before her students, she could still feel the powerful energy in the room when Rosa Parks had defended Emmett. "Class," she began, her voice steady and warm. "That moment was more than just an exchange of words. It was a profound lesson in courage and compassion." Ms. Briggs shared her reflections on how important it is to support one another in times of vulnerability. She explained that Emmett had taken a brave step by asking his question, and Rosa's response showed what true strength looks like, not just standing up for oneself but also standing up for others. She encouraged her students to think about how they might act in similar situations moving forward. "Each of you has the power to create a safe space for your classmates," Ms. Briggs continued. "Kindness can change the atmosphere of a room in an instant, just like it did that day when Rosa spoke up for Emmett." The students listened intently, absorbing every word as they reflected on how their laughter had initially hurt someone who was simply seeking understanding. She also highlighted the importance of empathy, understanding another person's feelings and experiences, something that many students had realized during their moment of reflection after Rosa's intervention. "When we choose to lift each other up instead of tearing each other down," Ms. Briggs said, "we not only help our friends but also grow as individuals." The discussion prompted an open dialogue among the students about their own experiences with kindness and support, allowing them to share stories and express how they could apply these lessons in their daily lives. By the end of class, they all understood that the significance of that day extended beyond just one moment. It was about cultivating a culture of respect and compassion within their classroom and beyond. As they left for lunch, Emmett felt a sense of pride swelling within him. He knew that he was part of something meaningful, a commitment by his classmates to be braver and kinder moving forward, inspired by Rosa Parks' remarkable example. After the day Rosa Parks defended him, Emmett Carr felt a remarkable change within himself. Once a timid boy who often shied away from speaking up, he found that he was filled with newfound confidence. Rosa's support had opened his eyes to the importance of standing up for himself and others, and for the first time, he realized that his voice mattered. In the days following that pivotal moment, Emmett began to approach his classmates and teachers with a sense of purpose. He no longer saw himself as just an observer who blended into the background. He recognized that he had important ideas and questions worth sharing. Whether it was raising his hand in math class or speaking up during group discussions, Emmett started to embrace opportunities to express himself. The impact of Rosa's defense went beyond just increasing his confidence. It also inspired him to become a supportive friend to others who might feel vulnerable. Emmett remembered how it felt to be ridiculed, and he made a promise to himself to stand up for those who might face similar challenges. This shift in perspective allowed him to forge deeper connections with classmates, as he showed kindness and understanding toward their struggles. Moreover, Emmett's experience ignited a passion for learning and advocating for social issues. He became more engaged in discussions about equality and justice, often recalling what he had learned from Rosa Parks. He actively sought out ways to get involved in community projects and school clubs that encouraged compassion and empathy. As time passed, Emmett became a role model for his peers, embodying the very lessons taught by Rosa and Ms. Briggs. He felt proud knowing that he could inspire others just as Rosa had inspired him. The ripple effect of that day resonated through his life, building not only his self-esteem but also fostering a culture of support and kindness among his classmates, leaving an enduring legacy of empathy and courage within their classroom. The story of Emmett Carr and Rosa Parks serves as a powerful reminder of the transformative effects of support, bravery, and understanding in overcoming challenges. Emmett's initial struggle with confidence highlighted how easily one can feel isolated in a moment of vulnerability, yet it was through Rosa's steadfastness that he found his voice and learned the importance of speaking up for oneself. Rosa Parks demonstrated that true courage extends beyond personal strength. It also involves lifting others during their times of need. Her intervention not only silenced laughter but also sparked a significant shift in perspective among the students. They learned that their actions carry weight, reinforcing the idea that kindness and empathy can create a more supportive environment for everyone. As Emmett grew from this experience, he became a beacon of hope and inspiration in his classroom. His journey illustrates how standing up for oneself and others can lead to profound personal growth and foster deeper connections with peers. By embracing vulnerability, Emmett transformed not just his own life but also encouraged those around him to reflect on their values and actions. The discussions led by Ms. Alana Briggs further solidified these lessons, emphasizing how important it is to create a culture of respect and compassion within any community. By sharing their thoughts and experiences, the students recognized the lasting impact they could have on each other's lives. Ultimately, this story teaches us that support is crucial in overcoming obstacles, whether it's through a kind word, standing up for someone who is being ridiculed, or simply being present for someone in need. The legacy of that day will resonate far beyond the classroom walls, reminding us all that we are stronger together when we choose to uplift one another with bravery and understanding.